Hi, Jennifer Jean here, and today we are in Lynn Woods. Beautiful spring day. You can hear the sirens and the birds in the distance, which is fine. You know, this is a nature preserve in the middle of the city. And today, apropos to where we are right now, we're going to be talking about The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. So I'm going to start by reading the poem and then discussing it, and at the end I will, even though I am here in great nature, give you a wonderful writing prompt. Okay, so what's up with this poem? Why have I marked the poem? I mark all the poems, you all know that. So here's the thing with this poem. I always thought, because I studied this poem as a middle schooler, that the main part of the poem was the road not taken. The main part of the meaning of this poem was that I took the one less traveled by, and I am just so awesome because I don't take roads that people have traveled. You know, I'm the kind of person, and I sigh like, oh, this was such a brave thing for me to do. You know, I actually thought that that was the meaning of this poem. And then as an adult, I found this wonderful book, The Road Not Taken, Finding America in the Poem Everyone Loves and Almost Everyone Gets Wrong. So that's pretty ballsy, gutsy title, because it's telling you right off the bat that people are getting this poem wrong. And I thought, okay, have I gotten this poem wrong? When I saw this book in the used bookstore in Middleton that my family goes to all the time, and I read the book. It's awesome. It's based on, or I don't know if it's based on, but it was extracted in the Paris Review, I believe, in 2015, and then made into a book, or it was extracted from the book. I don't know which came first, chicken or egg thing going on there. But in any case, the thing that's gotten wrong is that Frost is actually saying, okay, come a little closer, Chloe. He's actually saying, though the roads are really about the same, equally, he emphasizes in the next stanza. And then he's saying, I shall be telling this story of meeting these two roads, which we've all seen in our lifetime. And I will be telling the story in the future, he's speculating, with a sigh. It's sort of a self-deprecating observation about the self. And he's saying, somewhere ages and hence, that's where we get this kind of future notion that, and I didn't highlight this part, but this is the most quoted portion, as if the rest of the poem didn't even exist. I will be saying two roads diverged in wood, and I think this second I here, this in jam after a long M-I, gives a sort of loftiness that the writer wants to be aware of. I took the one less traveled by, instead of like some other person would not. There's a sort of comparative going on. So that's really interesting. No one really talks about that being what's so key about this poem. It's that sometimes we're faced with a choice, and the choice is about the same thing. You know, both roads are about the same, and they look different, but eventually in the end, you know, it doesn't matter which one you take, because you don't know what life's going to be like in the other one. And even if one's less traveled by, maybe that's the wrong one to take. Maybe that's the big mistake. We're not quite sure. Okay, come in a little bit again. Okay, so see here, they're really about the same. And both that morning equally lay. As I said, this equally is sort of this emphasis in this next stanza. But in leaves no step had trodden black. Okay, so they're the same. Couldn't actually tell what was less traveled by, but it became part of the story in ages hence that it was less traveled by. Okay, it's sort of the story that we make up about ourselves when, you know, we have hindsight is 2020. Heard that before. We make up that story that, oh, if I hadn't taken this path that I'm sure most people hadn't taken before and been so brave, then life would have turned out differently. It's true, I'm sure, that life turns out differently if we take different paths, but I think really what Frost is telling us is that we sort of valorize ourselves when we look back very often, or dramatize. In this case, he's saying his personality is to valorize himself, but I think even if people don't valorize, they're definitely, you know, dramatizing when they look back. And here's something, little addition to what we're reading here in the Frost poem that drives this point home for me. Long time ago, I was a tarot reader, and I would read people's fortunes, and I've had people recently ask me if that was something that's real, and I've told them yes, it is actually something real. But what I've always wanted to talk to people about was that that I would see very often when I was reading the cards that there were several choices that a person could make, and oftentimes the person that I would be doing the cards for would say, okay, but which one should I take? And I'd say, that's up to you. I don't know which one you should take. Sometimes, just like with the frost poem, these two paths lead sometimes to the same place, or they're equally as good. It's just you need to search in yourself which one. I'm just giving you sort of a preview of what paths look like, and then you decide. You know more about your life. I mean, they thought I was like some kind of all-knowing person when I would do the tarot reading, but I'm not. Nobody is about someone else. We as individuals, it's a personal belief, have to feel in ourselves what's the right thing to do when we are about to make a choice. We have to have that sense. I watched a lot of Marie Forleo videos, and she has that saying, I think she got it from someone else, not saying, but practice of sitting down with a choice and feeling what's the right thing to do. And that's all you can do. And so in this case with Frost, to come back to the poem here, he's saying that he was a traveler and he stood long and he looked down, as far as he could. He tried to see what was going on. He saw there were different changes, not changes. He saw that there were differences in the path, and he tried to pick which one is better, but they're just as fair. Okay, that's another thing I could have highlighted. They're just as fair. Okay, so now it's time for your writing prompt. For your writing prompt, you will be writing a poem about a choice that you made in the past. Now, you don't have to do the frosting thing where you talk about the choice you didn't make necessarily, unless that kind of comes up and it feels organic in your poem. But really, I want you to focus on the choice you did make and what sort of process you went through to make that choice. In this channel and in this community, the Volta, what we're trying to do here is pay attention to the choices we're making about our poems. So it just makes sense that you'd write a poem about some kind of life choice you made. And sometimes we look back and we realize, yeah, that wasn't such a big deal, or maybe it was a really big deal and we didn't realize that the small choice we made led to something big. This writing prompt can go in so many directions, at least two, like two roads diverging, but probably so many more. So that's all we have for you today, and I look forward to engaging you all again as together we make our poems into their best selves. Bye.